Welcome to the Deferral or Discrimination podcast. My name is Alex Desarkas. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's episode, none other than Mark Thompson, a fabulous registered nurse for the last 6 years, specializing in sexual health, including HIV, where he's currently completing his master's based on his field of work. He's super passionate about LGBT rights, having volunteered at Thorn Harbour Health here in Melbourne, which is formerly the Victorian AIDS Council, and he now specialises in HIV and blood donations and is an amazing nurse. Here is what he had to say about some of the issues we're facing as a community.
It's better. It's great. It's much better than it was, but it's still not good enough. Like every time I do an HIV test for somebody, I'm saying, like, you've got it. Like there's a 6-week window period. So if you have had any sex that you're right about within 6 weeks, you repeat it at 6 weeks and then you know for sure. So if our tests are that good that we're using for day-to-day screening, are they using different tests, for their blood with life blood that makes them think that 3 months is what we have to go by when we're telling everybody every time they test? 6-week window period. If it's been more than 6 weeks, this is 100% accurate. Yeah. So, why aren't we going to a 6-week deferral period?
Well, good news, Mark. As of the last month, the TGA did lift the ban from 12 months to 3 months, which is exciting. But 3 months is still double the amount of time than 6 weeks. So we've definitely come a long way, but we've got a long way still to go. And I also found it interesting that they specifically pointed out that anyone on PrEP is excluded from the deferral when the majority of...
That lowers your risk even further.
Yeah. Like that is 99 point something percent effective.
It's highly effective. And that was one of the things that I've been thinking about as well, because if I know someone who works for tissue donation and they use the Lifeblood Red Cross recommendations. So if anyone's on PrEP, they're automatically excluded from donating tissues like bone, ligaments, tendons, eyes, all that kind of stuff. Automatically, even because they're on PrEP. And she's saying to them, well, that doesn't make any sense. She's like, do you know how PrEP works? And they're like, we just go by what Lifeblood says. So it just, it's a bit mind-blowing because they put people that are on PrEP in this high risk category. And it's like, well, actually, no, that makes them lower risk if they're taking their PrEP. It's counterintuitive. It's like you're saying that they're high risk when they're actually doing something to actively lower their risk.
Irony at its finest. Am I right? Then proceeded to ask Mark why the rates within the heterosexual community for HIV are on the rise when for the gay and bi community they're on the decline. And he responded with...
Well, I think a big part of it is with the LGBTI community, we gain a lot from community knowledge because our community was so devastated by HIV and AIDS and then the concurrent syphilis epidemic. We're saturated with knowledge because we're the risk groups. But then heterosexual people often don't think that they need to get tests. Like a lot of women who have sex with women or who identify as lesbians, if they're just having sex with somebody who identifies the same as them, they didn't think they needed an STI screen. Or a lot of people thought that a cervical screening test would be testing for everything because they're not taught these things properly in school. Whereas the gay community and the queer community, it's just thrown at us constantly. You're at risk of HIV, test, get PrEP, get this, get that. But the straight community doesn't get any of that.